What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up slightly, 0.1%, 1964 the low, 2031 the high, and 3.5 million shares being traded. So kind of on the low end, and given the fact that at the time doing this video, shorts are increasing 682,000 shares, that is why overall Lucid is getting suppressed, because shorts are making up for the majority of the volume. 31.69% of the free float is being shorted. So shorts have started to really double down. So we went from about 29.45% short interest to where it is now. So shorts are starting to really break their trend and start to move higher. 40.23 million shares overall are being shorted, and then short score is 77.83. Aside from that though, a couple of things that is really impacting Lucid. So first thing, in the broader market you saw a sell-off, and that was because of this. So potentially the states bailing out Argentina. So this kind of came out of left field. I guess there was some hints like a couple of weeks back, but still market didn't really like this. Luckily enough, there was some positive news to kind of have the market not really care so much about this, and that is the states pivoting from China to Australia for rare minerals. So that is a very, very good positive for the broader market. So that's one thing that really started to cause a nice push higher. So let me know your thoughts on that. Only negative that some people are bringing up is the fact that Australia can't do nearly the output that China could. So again, it's more of a temporary patch, but still it is what it is. I do want to go over GM. So I want to do a video on them tomorrow because they had some pretty kick-ass earnings. It's up roughly like 12% right now. And I think a lot of which what they do bring up is affecting a lot of other kind of automakers, EV makers, and so forth. So for instance, what they saw in Q3 was a smaller impact to tariffs. That is a good positive that Lucid investors can kind of take away from that, because in Lucid's last couple of earnings, that was one hot topic, was tariffs. So I think Lucid doesn't really bring it up as much as they probably would like, only because Lucid, in my opinion, they try not to spread and kind of focus on some of the negatives in previous earnings. But nonetheless, like for instance, if GM saw a smaller impact, that might be very positive for Lucid, because Lucid was forecasting for Q3 as well as Q4 between 12 to 15% of their margins getting hit. So that might be a little bit better. GM at the same time also did say that they have no real intention of kind of going into or pursuing at a higher rate going into EVs. So that's kind of a positive. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But GM had phenomenal earnings, so it's kind of moving higher from there. Aside from that, there has been no news from Lucid, no SEC filings, no press releases. Oddly enough, you've seen a lot of big accounts and some even smaller accounts on social media starting to pump Lucid. So we always go through these cycles. I don't know exactly what happens. I don't know if maybe there's a marketing firm that is paid to just put out saying, hey, Lucid, God candle, we're going to go up like 200% tomorrow, get in now. I'm not really sure why that does occur. I kind of called out one individual early this morning, this ghost trader, and it just said, good morning before the stock blows up. And I just said, are you the newest pumper? And he says, yes, hi. So there's been a lot of these types of individuals, and I've always called them out from the very, very beginning. And I think one very popular one, he had, I think, got to like 11,000 people on Twitter. And he was saying, hey, big news is coming tomorrow or next week, get in now. And that was like $20 pre-reverse stock split. So that's crazy, crazy stuff. So in general, trust your gut. I feel like a lot of people, and I get it, why maybe these accounts do what they do, because I think Lucid has largely lagged. Very few people, unless you got in because of this sell-off right here, are at a profit. So I think most people are just wanting to either break even or for Lucid to do something. And they see a lot of big other stocks out there like Beyond Meat just going up, which technically is like 112 million market cap company. So it's a very small kind of fish, but over the last 5 days, it's up 292%. So I think this is what people want for to happen to Lucid, but there's a big difference, right? Anytime a stock goes through this type of price action, they get completely memeified. and I think that's a made up word, but they're just being seen as nothing more than a meme. Lucid, I think the reason why the management doesn't put out as much news as they should is because they try to avoid being classified as a meme. So that's my viewpoint. Let me know your thoughts on that and why potentially we are seeing kind of cycles of random accounts really pushing and pumping Lucid. So what's your viewpoint on that? Like I said, shorts are fairly active today, so they're making up for a good chunk of the volume. But looking at the options, 262,000 in calls, 134,000 in puts, so extremely low volume. 49% of all the options being done, though, are bullish in nature. Aside from that, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to recover to kind of the $22 range, so pretty good return technically within 1 week. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub $20, which is for the most part where we are at. So there is a little bit more upside than down. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So 3 sells, 1 buy. That 1 buy was 1.79 million. That 1 sell was 1.8, and then you had another sell 503 and then 145,000. Aside from that, these are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So a little bit of a quiet period, I guess. So goes to show that hedge funds aren't really doing all that much, because based on what shorts are doing, most of these transactions would be associated with them. So again, I think just Lucid really needs to get their act together, because shorts are getting very comfortable. And I think that's been happening over the last year and a half, is that shorts think that they found a infinite money glitch, so they can easily just manipulate Lucid, cycle it down, and make a lot of money. So hopefully Lucid has some good news in their back pocket to actually put out, aka partnerships, licensing agreements or something like that, because if not, shorts might even kind of double down and get to the 52-week highs from here. Aside from all that, though, with it at 1987, 85 now, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 1947 is going to be that strong support. Hasn't been touched over the last couple of trading days, but still that's going to be something to watch for. And then 2055 is going to be that next strong target / resistance, and similarly that wasn't touched whatsoever. I do still have my puts that I did sell, so if by the end of this week Lucid is below 1950, then I'm buying, I think it's 800 shares or something along those lines. So we'll have to wait and see. Technically, kind of including my premium though, my actual price, my break-even price, or my average, I guess, would be 1890 or 1880. So I think I'm pretty good for that. But still, for those of you that haven't researched options, look at selling puts. Any stock, even outside of Lucid, any stock that you do like and you wouldn't mind owning, sell puts. Because when Lucid was at, I think, was it 21, 22, I sold 1950 puts a little bit further out, but this is why you can kind of get the price that you want. You get an extra premium. It's a win-win. So definitely take the time to research that. Aside from all of that fun stuff, though, on the actual chart, still not really much positives to bring up. The only positive is the fact that Lucid is very oversold. So good piece of news. You could see a very nice recovery, but right now on the actual chart is below every single key moving average. Luckily enough, Lucid has been holding on for dear life, and that's largely because of the broader market being fairly optimistic, because normally every time Lucid breaks below that 50-day moving average, we see some crazy price action. So again, I think Lucid's wanting to move higher. It just needs a catalyst. Looking at the market position though for today, you don't see that much willing kind of buyers. So you have a strong amount up to about that 1950. If it does break below that, then you could see a very aggressive push lower. There really hasn't been all that much in articles or anything along those lines. A couple just articles from Yahoo, but it's all very old information. And I don't know why Yahoo's been doing that. Not just with Lucid, but a lot of other stocks. They've just been putting out very outdated PRs. So it's kind of weird. But nonetheless, though, you can kind of see algos are definitely full in force today. No new analyst ratings or anything like that. So it is just more linked to the technicals and just piggybacking off the broader market. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with Lucid? And for instance, do you dabble with options? Another option strategy would be a short strangle. So for those of you that actually do own Lucid stock, definitely research doing a short strangle. You can get some pretty good premiums because for the most part, Lucid lately has been trading between, I'd say that like $19 and $21 range. So if you do a little bit further out, you can kind of make some pretty good money based on that. So take the time to research options. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.